Good morning again. Today's presentation is a presentation based on hope, but with very practical ideas to implement that hope so your life becomes better this year and the year after and the year after that. So the thesis of today's presentation is to leverage life's challenges and suffering into becoming a pathway to daily joy. We will discuss how small daily improvements consistently done over time are the key to measurable progress towards your goals and dreams. By applying the practical, time-proven ideas in this presentation, you can make 2026 your most enjoyable and productive year so far. And continuing to apply these ideas, you'll make every year after that even better still. Now, I fully recognize that we're in tough times, which makes it even more important that we are armed with the most effective tools to improve our lives and, as a byproduct, improve our communities. And to not let external circumstances steal our daily joy. The sweetest revenge on the world's ugliness is to have inner joy and external success in spite of it. The key thing to achieving long-term happiness and having hope during the daily grind is to apply the concept of compounded growth to all areas of our lives, not just financial. The concept of compounded growth over a long period of time, turning a modest amount of money into a fortune, is very well known. Compounded growth is like a snowball rolling down a mountain and becoming a giant boulder of snow. Compounded growth rewards three things: consistency, patience, long-term thinking. What is not well known is that compounded growth is easily applicable when applied to other things than money. Steadily doing something daily over an extended period of time will result in significant progress in whatever area it is applied to: health, career, relationships, personal growth, etc. And the best way to be consistent is to develop daily habits. As simple as all this seems, it took me a long time to figure this out. And frankly, most people never really grasp how powerful this simple idea of applying compounded growth via consistent daily habits is for achieving their goals. When I fully grasped that this meant that I didn't have to be the smartest, the most talented, or the most creative person to succeed, frankly, I was ecstatic. At this point in my life, daily life felt like an unending grind. And this thought that small actions applied consistently over time could be leveraged into significant improvement in happiness gave me a massive dose of hope. The difference of doing something consistently versus occasionally was driven home to me in my 30s when my teeth became sensitive to a variety of things. I had heard that consistently flossing your teeth would help with teeth sensitivity. So what I got to lose? I gave it a try. And what do you know? Within a couple of weeks of daily flossing, my teeth sensitivity went away. I quickly learned that if I slacked off flossing my teeth for even a week, the sensitivity would swiftly return. This drove home the point of being consistent. So I have consistently been flossing my teeth ever since and have no issues with my teeth since then. Let's talk about what consistency means in the context of long-term goals. Being consistent isn't an all or nothing thing. For example, if you floss your teeth every day of the month, but 2, you are being consistent enough to see positive results. Many people will drop their New Year's resolutions like a hot potato the first time they miss a day, because they see their New Year's resolution as a all or nothing thing. And the minute they miss one day of a new routine, they beat themselves up mentally, think they're a total loser, throw up their hands, and give up. However, the key is to accept that you're not going to be perfect and will miss a day now and then. When you miss that occasional day, don't spiral down into a guilt trip. Just start again the next day and move on. And as long as you are doing something consistently the vast majority of the time, you will see significant positive results. Don't get hung up on the occasional slip. Just move on. So let's talk about why habits are so powerful. In self-help books and videos, there's a lot of talk about willpower and how important willpower is to have. Frankly, in my humble opinion, willpower is overrated. Just think about a common New Year's resolution to pick up daily exercise. Gyms are packed full of people the first 2 weeks of January who have willed themselves to get out of bed and hit the weights or track. Willpower takes a lot of effort and is an exhausting way of getting things done, and therefore it's no surprise by the end of January most have given up. However, what makes habits so incredibly powerful is once they have been created, it takes very little effort or willpower to get out of bed and hit the gym because it's just what you have trained yourself to do. It becomes automatic. It's become as natural as eating and sleeping. But you have to create the habit first. So how does one create a good habit? In the New York Times bestseller, Atomic Habits by James Clear, the author says creating a new habit is akin to germinating a seed into a seedling. Anyone who has germinated a seed knows they are very tender and vulnerable when they first start out. The soil has to be at the right temperature with just the right amount of water and nutrients. Too little or too much, and it dies overnight. It needs daily attention for 3 to 4 weeks before it becomes a mature, healthy, robust plant. In the same way, the first 3 or 4 weeks in forming a new habit are crucial. During these crucial weeks, we need to write down an intention which we read nightly, and then apply the 4 laws of behavioral change to build a habit. These four laws are 1, make it obvious. 2, make it attractive. 3, make it easy. 4, make it satisfying. This is how we nurture a new habit into maturity. Research has shown that people who write down a specific intention with details of when and where they would do the new behavior, and then read that intention nightly, do succeed in establishing a new habit 91% of the time versus 35% of the time of a control group. In other words, writing down a specific intention, reading it daily, then more than doubles the odds of successfully establishing a new habit. The intention should be written in the following simple format. I will behavior at time in location. For example, I will meditate for 10 minutes at 7 a.m. in our guest room. I will exercise for 45 minutes at 7 p.m. at the Milford YMCA. Then you need to read that to yourself before you go to bed every night. For a lot of things, significant results don't show up for weeks or months when starting a new habit. However, there are some areas in life where you will feel the positive effects within hours or days. For example, switching from an empty-calorie junk food diet to a diet based on vegetables, legumes, whole grains, and lean proteins will make you feel amazingly better in just 48 hours. So in this presentation, I'm going to focus on 5 habits that will make a major impact on your happiness, both in the short term and in the long term, but especially in the long term. These 5 habits I'm going to discuss today are eating healthy, exercising, disciplining your internal dialogue, reading positive literature, and cultivating a happy, grateful attitude. There are dozens of other happy or healthy habits that are fully worthwhile pursuing, such as living within your means, associating with positive people, and maintaining good sleep hygiene, just to name a few. I encourage these other habits too, but I don't have enough time to discuss them today. So let's start with diet. Everyone knows the almost immediate effect of eating a healthy lunch versus a heavy lunch full of simple carbs and fatty foods. One gives you energy to power through the afternoon. The other gives you a food coma. When I switched from a standard American diet, look at that, standard American diet. If you take the abbreviation, it says it all. Standard, S, American, A, diet, D, S-A-D, sad. When I switched from a standard American diet to a plant-based diet 10 years ago, I couldn't believe how much better I felt in just 48 hours. My knees stopped hurting going up the stairs. My indigestion problems disappeared almost immediately. I had much more energy. No more food comas. Within the first 30 days, I lost the easiest 10 pounds in my whole life, and I've never gained it back. In fact, I'm down 20 pounds from when I left behind the standard American diet. I had switched from calorie-dense foods with medium to low nutritional value to nutritionally dense foods with lots of filling fiber and water content. By eating these plant-based foods, I never feel hungry or deprived. You don't have to go vegan to achieve this. Just focus on eating the rainbow, not Skittles, but the rainbow of colorful vegetables, complementing that with leafy greens, legumes, complex whole carbs, and lean proteins. So how do we apply the four layer laws of behavior change to building a healthy diet habit? First, make it obvious by getting rid of the unhealthy food in the house. And when grocery shopping, have a written grocery list so only good things are in hand's reach at home. Make it attractive. Buy salsa, flavorful vinegars, spices, and herbs to lively up your food without adding excessive salt and sugar. Make it easy by having simple, quick recipes, such as an overnight oatmeal, simple crock pot dinners of lean chicken and vegetables, or cooking Sunday night a bunch of sides and a couple healthy stews and casseroles that can be reheated during the week. I have given you all a kickstart towards making this new healthy diet habit easy by including a healthy recipe for morning oatmeal on the insert in the order of service today. I eat this most mornings, and it's so protein-packed and filling, I often don't feel hungry again till 2 in the afternoon. Make a healthy diet satisfying by eating flavorful, fiber-filled foods. To me, split pea soup is a comfort food. And beans and brown rice burritos wrapped in a whole grain tortilla with some tasty salsa satisfies both my taste buds and my hunger. Now let's talk about exercise. We all know that there are huge short-term and long-term gains to be gotten out of exercise. Short-term, we get endorphins and an uptick in energy. So how can we nurture a habit of daily exercise? Well, first off, we can write a specific intention to exercise tomorrow, such as, I will walk on my treadmill watching the news and sports for 45 minutes at 6:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. And then reading that every night. I'm a morning person and found that exercising before work got me in a much better mood for taking on the daily grind. So how do we make an exercise habit obvious? One of the things I did was packing my exercise clothes and work clothes the night before going. How do we make it attractive? If we can afford to join an attractive modern gym, do so. Or find a favorite nature-filled route to walk, jog, or bike. Additionally, exercising with a buddy makes it more attractive to do, and you have someone to hold you accountable. Make it more attractive by doing something you love: canoeing, biking, cross-country skiing, or attending a workout class with booming, pulsating music that makes you feel like you're at the nightclub dancing. How do we make it easy? Again, having your gear packed and ready to go the day before helps. If you can afford to set up a treadmill in front of a TV at home, do so. That couldn't be much easier than that. Make it easy by starting easy. My wife, Julianne, started her 50 half marathon journey, not by running 10 miles straight without a break the first day, but rather going a couple miles alternating between walking and running, then building up from there. Lastly, how do we make exercise satisfying? Doing it with friends greatly helps. Working towards a goal helps, like running your first 3K race. And of course, doing exercise you enjoy. The next habit is disciplining your internal dialogue. You know that voice in your head that gets stuck replaying the same song over and over and over, or randomly reminds you of a screw-up you did 10 years ago? Or keeps going over an argument you had with a coworker the day before? That is your random internal dialogue. For a lot of people, their internal dialogue is their worst enemy. At best, it's a distraction from focusing on the task at hand. At its worst, it's like a bratty kid that has learned to manipulate its parents. You can tame this beast, but it takes discipline. It takes developing a habit. Simple habits such as when you wash your hands throughout the day, put all your mental focus on just washing your hands and nothing else. The reason to do this is so you can have only one thought at a time in your mind. Again, you can only have one thought at your mind at a time. That would block out the internal dialogue if you're totally focused on washing your hands. If you're totally focused on washing your hands, you can temporarily silence your internal dialogue. Tell your internal dialogue for the next 30 seconds, I'm going to the spa. And will focus all my attention on cleaning my hands. Maybe stock your bathroom with some nice smelling soaps. Then really pay attention to washing your hands. Focus on the chill of the refreshing water, the feel of the slippery soap spreading between your fingers, the satisfaction of totally drying your hands. The point here again is you can focus your mind on only one thing at a time. And by blocking out that internal dialogue, we start getting the habit of getting control over it. So if you get in the habit of really focusing on simple, repetitive tasks several times a day, this will go a long way in getting more control over your internal dialogue. Another very effective way of doing this is meditating. Just imagine how much more effective you can be in a day if you can get that internal dialogue monkey off your back, if only for a few hours a day. All these habits can be reinforced by developing the habit of reading something positive 10 to 15 minutes a day. For example, there are many good books on controlling your internal dialogue. I have listed several of these on the insert in your order of service today. By just reading 15 minutes a day, you will be able to read up to 10 to 12 good self-help books a year. Imagine how much you can learn if you read 10 good self-help books a year. I have read self-help books on everything from parenting, investing, healthy aging, couple relationships, home improvement, nutrition, developing professional skills, and Zen Buddhism. To make it easy and affordable, I typically buy used books online. I find having a physical book allows me to underline, write notes in the margin, and to really digest the material. Having a physical book allows me to reread it a year later, where I usually pick up on things I missed in the first reading. And it allows me the opportunity to loan a helpful book to a friend who's going through hard times and needs some inspiration. The last daily habit I'm going to encourage is cultivating a happy and grateful attitude. There are daily routines that will increase your happiness. Some of these are keeping a gratitude journal, where you write down 3 things that went well that day, doing random acts of kindness, exercising. By the way, you'll notice many of these good habits reinforce each other. Sending thank you notes, or writing a good review for a vendor or store that gave you great service. The ironic thing most people don't understand is that being happy creates success, whereas most people have it backwards and think they have to create success before they can be happy. We have discussed that you don't have to be the smartest, most talented, or strongest person to have inner joy and external success. The hopeful message is that by applying daily effort on a consistent basis over a long period of time, you will achieve your goals. Being consistent doesn't mean everything falls apart if you miss 1 or 2 days out of 30. If you miss a day, just pick yourself up the next day and get back at it. These good habits reinforce each other and create a virtuous cycle versus a vicious cycle. One builds on the other. Lastly, I do have to spend a moment on these darn phones, social media, etc. The last ingredient to applying the concepts presented today is to focus your energy on what you can touch and control. I can improve my diet and level of exercise. Over time, I can discipline my internal dialogue. I can read positive, helpful literature. I can create a daily habit of gratitude. I can purposefully associate with positive people. I can develop good sleep habits. I can learn to live within my means. I can do social justice activities, email my elected officials, and attend political rallies. By focusing our energy and time on these things we can actually touch, we can significantly improve our lives and as a side effect be a positive influence on those around us. However, when we go down a rabbit hole via our phones and social media over things that are upsetting and outside of our control, we are wasting our precious, limited energy and time. It's okay to spend a few minutes a day being aware of the world, but then let it go. For those of us who are old enough to remember the days before social media, before iPhones, and the 24-hour news cycle, we can recall the outside world interrupting our lives with 5-minute news updates on the radio, reading a newspaper, and 30 minutes of network TV news. For most of us, that was all the time we were exposed to all the problems of the world. And you know what? We did perfectly fine with that limited amount of exposure. There is no reason we can't, with intention, go back to that limited exposure and not let things that we can't control or affect overwhelm our lives and sidetrack us from our pathway to achieving our goals. I will leave you with a quote from the New York Times bestseller, The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. Your mind has very little control over this world. It is neither omniscient nor omnipotent. It cannot control the weather, other natural forces, nor can it control all people, places, and things around you. You have given your mind an impossible task by asking it to manipulate the world. Just relieve your mind of the job of making sure that everyone and everything will be the way that you need them to be. Your mind is not qualified for that job. You can have a different relationship with your mind. Whenever it starts telling you what you should or shouldn't do in order to get the world to match your preconceived concepts, don't listen. In other words, as the Serenity Prayer says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now go out there applying your wisdom and courage to achieve your inner peace, external success, and make your dreams a reality. Thank you.